And there we have just nicely, just makes it more rounded off. Now, you know what? I'm kind of thinking here, I would normally stick this on here and I'd pop it onto a mandrel and I'd polish it to within an inch of its life. But this is because this is a bit of a special one, and the other thing is the quality of the copper on the 52s is far superior to the quality of the copper on later coins. This looks, later copper coins, I think anyway, look more like copper pipe. These have got more of a quality to them, which I don't know. So what I'm going to do, I don't know where I've put them. Hang on, you can look inside my box, boys and girls. I haven't put them in there. I've got some girly nail polishy. Here we are. And I've also somewhere got from Brother Wayne some, here we are. These are Formica pads. So we got that. Excuse me. We got that. These, I'm not going to be able to unwrap this one-handed, am I? Yes, I am. Of course I am. Look at that. You're actually sat there watching a video of me opening a nail and buffing. Look at that, straight in the bin. Now, these are, I think they're £4 for £1 or something. So we've got a file on here, which does what it says, and then buff, smooth and shine. So I'm going to use file, then smooth, and then I'm going to buff it up a little bit, and then I'm going to shine it. And I'm going to do that on the outside. And the reason for that is I want to leave, I don't know if I can zoom in and get it, I want to leave the copper colour underneath on the base there as it is, like that, quite coppery. And then I want to shine the raised part to bring out the lettering. Now this is how they used to make number plates, raised number plates. They would spray them white and then they'd spray them black, and then the raised bit they'd just rub that off to leave the white underneath, so you'd have a black background and a white foreground. That's sort of what I'm going to do with this ring, but I need 2 hands for it. And I really should. I'm not really a good enough video maker to put cameras up, but one day I might have a go at that, just to make it more of an interesting video. But this is more about the coin, because it's from my mate's mum, than it is me making it, if that sounds right. Right. Not sure how well my camera's going to pick this up, but what I've actually done here is not very well is the answer. I've just taken off, I think actually this is supposed to do macro. If I zoom out, it's supposed to do macro. Oh, it has. Is to bring out the detail of the lettering. And what I've done on here is run, so we've got on here, this is the Formica pad which I use to just run around the inside, and it's just taken some of that layering off on the inside. But give you an idea, this was the file side, this was the smoothie side, this was buffing it, and this was shining it. So all of those, just take off tiny, come on, yeah, tiny amounts of that top, leaving the lettering sitting proud. Now, it gives it, I think, that sort of slightly aged look without being too, because I think sometimes with these, if you overly polish them, you can't just immediately see what it is. So next, I will send a copy of this video to me mate and say, what do you think? Right, well, I messaged last night, and he's happy to go with my recommendation. Now, I'm looking at this again under daylight, and there's certain parts of it where some of that base patina I've actually managed to polish off. I don't think that brings anything to the party. So what I'm tempted to do, you see where I've been a little bit overzealous. You know, I really like this ring. I like the way it's turned out. But I'm not sure about the finish. I'm tempted to use a slight liver of sulphur. Now what that means is liver of sulphur will turn copper black actually. But I'm not thinking of dunking it in for long enough for it to turn the copper black. Just to give it a base patina. And then ever so carefully do what I did before, but polish it off ever so gently and not be as heavy-handed as I think I might have been there, just to remove that. It's a strange one, because as I've got a sort of emotional investment in this, because I've met his mum twice, well, once sort of properly and then once just to say hello to it in the street, and she's all right. She's nobody's fool by anyone's imagination. So, and I do owe me mate a massive favour or four. So I want this to be more than all right. Okay, I'm going to stop wibbling on, and I'm going to try the liver of sulphur. Oh, this will be fun, shooting with one hand. What we have here are the two rings, the one that I've been working on, and then just another test one. You can tell the difference in the quality of the copper in this one. Is fantastic. So we have some liver of sulphur, we have some bicarbonate of soda, and then we have 2 glasses, some very hot water, some things, and then something which is the only reason I will go into a certain fast food outlet, is to get the little wooden sticks. So what we do, we put some hot water in each of these. The reason we're going to use the bicarbonate of soda is to neutralise the liver of sulphur. Now I actually grow bicarbonate of soda. It's a weird one. So that's now ready to neutralise. We can now take our liver of sulphur. We only need a few tiny little drops. Pop his lid on there. It done half stink. And this, thank you Ronald. And that is that. And then we can plonk these in here like that. Yeah, that's it. Now, if I'd have wanted a really deep patina, I'd have put those rings in the oven first to warm them up. But I don't want a really deep patina. I want a nice gentle patina. And you can see in here where it's starting to darken. Zoom out, otherwise it'll be all over the place. Right, well, because my phone didn't really want to focus, I had to stop the recording just then, and I have now removed from the liver of sulphur and neutralise in the bicarbonate of soda. And same with that one. Oops, and you can tell the quality of copper, how different it is between the two. So there we have the one I've been working on, and all it's done is kind of like added that base antique-y feel. Hands are filthy. It does the same on this, but in a slightly different way. Right, next, dry them off, put all this away, rinse all this out, put it all away. That can go in there. And this is how I end up growing bicarbonate of soda. Because there's usually much more comes out of this when it's dried than ever goes into it when it's wet. So and then that can go down the loo, and that can go back in the cupboard. Okay, this is where it's easy to see the difference in quality of the copper. I haven't actually looked it up. I'm not actually sure when the quality of the copper changed, but believe me, the quality of the copper in the 52 is much nicer. And what I've managed to get on here, I'm trying to get it nicely under the light, but I don't know if it's going to show, because this is you know, a sort of LED. It's not a daylight LED, but the quality of the copper, and then putting that liver of sulphur on there, gives it a real nice antique kind of patina. By contrast, let's try and zoom out and maybe see if the macro will work. By contrast, the quality of the copper in the 67s just isn't the same. It just doesn't have that same kind of antique-y lustre. It just hasn't got that same quality to it, in it. But this, and the quality of the copper and the way that it comes up with that liver of sulphur, I'm absolutely stunned with the beauty of that antique patina. And I think it brings out the detail really nicely. So I'm now going to go back to my mate and say, I've changed my mind, I like this. But you know, he knows his mum better than I. So we shall see. I know it's going to be right busy today for various reasons, but and I've popped a little hole in there, ready to make that into a key ring, and I might give that a liver of sulphur as well. I did try and polish out the detail and then leave some of the you know, the antique patina inside, so that's quite groovy. But I like that a lot. It kind of, even though it's been polished out, adding that antique patina back, I think really shows it off. Halfpenny's a lovely coin. It's just a shame that, you know, you lose the main detail in the middle, which is obviously, as would be with me, one of my favourite things, a Boat. Sorry about that beeping, it's the Tufnells lorry next door. This is now the first coat of the ceramic lacquer, and I've done the other one as well. So I'll put that on my little stall when I do the next craft fair, if I do another craft fair. But, oh, starting camera. I think the way that the silver foil, because that's on silver foil to create a crinkle, so you don't lay it down, so any sort of the lacquer can drip down into the little wells in here. Yeah, and I'll bugger off, Tufnells. But the silver foil is reflecting the light up, so it's not actually showing it in all of its true glory. But I'm really happy with the finish on there, especially with the detail on the inside. Kept all the detail on the inside. I think shaving around the reed on the inside has worked, while still remaining some of the detail there. I don't know if, oh fuck you, bloody rubbish. Sorry for swearing, bollocks. Right, anyway, camera's not it doesn't like focusing on closer objects, nearer objects. So we now let that dry, and then it would sound strange, but I'll go around the non-reeded edge with my fingernail just to chip off any bits of ceramic lacquer that have dripped down, and then I'll give it another dunking. So it has 2 layers, very, very fine layers of ceramic lacquer. It's 50-50 lacquer mixed with water. Where'd I put the lacquer? It's this stuff. And I don't think you can get this in the UK. This came from America. Yeah, you can't get that in the UK, but it's good stuff. It's a really nice, it's sort of like, in fact, it's got all sorts of warnings that you shouldn't use it without wearing eye protecting equipment, because it is like glass. It hardens to glass if you get it in your eye. It's not a good thing. So back when that is hardened off and has had its second coat, we're finished. And I bloody love, it's not brilliant light here, even though I've tried to get it underneath the natural daylight. Let's try and get a macro shot where it zooms in. Now that liver of sulphur just gives that antique patina a real kind of depth, and then polishing out the detail on the top really makes those letters stand out, and the sort of like kind of dark infill. Oh, I bloody love it. And the ceramic lacquer on top just kind of, I don't know, it just finishes it off beautifully. I'm really, really happy with this. Wow. I think what I'm going to do, I'm not going to ask what my mate thinks of this. I keep having to stop myself saying his name because I obviously can't identify him. But I'm just going to send it. Wow. Send it with a link to this video so he can see why I've decided to go for this finish. And I've tried to make it so it's not actually, it's ever so slightly cone shaped, but that's to make it more comfortable to wear, along with shaving the reed on the inside. bloody love it. Right, I'm going to bag it up and get it in post. Yeah, good. Pleased am I with this. It's one of those that, you know, sometimes you really need something to work nicely, and pattern is a strange thing. If it's right, it's right, and I think this is just about perfect in that sense. Have a look where around the reed it just brings out that detail. There's a nice little bit of sheen there from the light. I've got the angle right. Yep, very pleased am I with that. I'm sorry, I'm just wibbling on. It won't really mean anything to anybody, but that, for me, boys and girls, is a result. If you like this rubbish, you know what to do. Click the subscribe button. If you click like, it tells YouTube that this might be worth sharing with other people, even though this is a bit of a marathon video. If you've made it this far, I thank you very much. Cheers, boys and girls. Whatever you're doing, do it safely, and I'll be back with more nonsense, no doubt, in due course.